Fine sat at the edge of the massive bed, staring at the pregnancy test in her trembling hands. It showed two lines. She was pregnant. Her breath came out shaky. She had suspected it, but seeing it confirmed felt terrifying. Jungkook wouldn't be happy, she thought. Not because he despised children. No, he despised her. Their marriage wasn't born out of love. Rather, it was a cold-blooded mafia deal that forced them together. He never laid a hand on her, raised his voice, but his ignorance cut deeper than any wound. Their conversations were brief, if they even happened. Even when Vine tried to ask him yesterday, "You didn't come home last night," he only replied with, "Was I supposed to?" Vine had tried in the beginning to bridge the gap. She brought him coffee late at night, only for him to glance at it once and return to his work. She asked about his day, only to be met with silence. Eventually, she stopped trying. But now there's a life growing inside her. She swallowed hard and stood up on her feet. If she was going to tell him, she had to do it now. Jungkook stood by the window of his study, a glass of whiskey in his hand, gazing out at the rain-soaked city. He looked untouchable, like a king ruling over his dark empire. He didn't turn when she entered. Jungkook, what? Ryan hesitated before saying, "I need to talk to you." A long silence stretched between them before he finally sighed, setting his glass down. Jungkook, make it quick. Her fingers curled into his as she confessed, "I'm pregnant." No long discussions, not playing around, just like he wanted. But then Jungkook stilled all of a sudden. For the first time she saw him shocked, just for a second. His head turned slightly, and his dark eyes locked into hers. Jungkook, what? She swallowed, and this time she spoke in a loud voice. "I said I'm pregnant. Did you hear me now?" He swallowed, his gaze dropped to her stomach, and his jaw tightened. Jungkook, you're sure? Her nails dug into her palms. Fine. Yes. Then there was more silence for a few seconds. Then he suddenly got up and walked past her, without saying anything. Fine. Jungkook. Jungkook turned back and said, I'll, I'll go wash my face. Her expressions hardened unbelievably. You have nothing to say? He didn't stop, didn't look at her, just opened the door and disappeared down the hall. Vine pressed a hand to her stomach, biting her lip to keep the tears from falling. So, that was it. Her child would grow up without a father's love, just like she had feared. The next morning, Vine woke up as the sun rays fell on her face. She didn't look to her side, knowing he would be gone again, as usual. But then, because of the heavy silence, she could hear some breathing and movement from her side. She quickly turned to look at it. He was sitting on the couch in their bedroom, elbows resting on his lap as he stared at his laptop. He didn't speak to her, didn't look at her, but he was there. His eyes had little dark circles around them. Why? You aren't going to work? Jungkook. No, I thought I should take a day off, he said while closing the laptop. But Vine was staring at him with questionable eyes. Jungkook. Uh, I was a bit tired myself, so fine. Yeah, I can tell from the dark circles in your eyes. Anyone could. His hand went to his eyes on reflex. Oh, he said and went to the bathroom to check it. Even though they weren't much visible, but as he looked at himself in the mirror, he freaked out immediately. Jungkook. What the hell? He quickly opened the tap and washed his eyes. They were almost non-existent now, but he wasn't satisfied. Jungkook. Why the hell wouldn't they disappear? He rubbed his eyes again while looking in the mirror, but then he stopped for a second. He lowered his hand and looked at himself. He kept staring for a few seconds because the thought that he might change scared him. Jungkook. What am I even doing? He closed the tap, dried his hands from the towel, and went outside. As he slowly came outside, he found Vine smiling while looking at him. Jungkook. What? Fine. Oh, nothing. It's just, I mean, thank you. Jungkook. For what? Vine. For staying? Jungkook. What are you saying? I told you I was tired. It's not because of you, he said and lay down on the bed beside her, with his arm on his forehead as he stared at the ceiling. Jungkook. Now don't call me as I'm very tired. I'm going to sleep, he said and closed his eyes, while Vine smiled, as she could clearly see how nervous he was. Well, at least he was. She got up and went to the washroom to freshen up. Vine hummed softly as she stepped into the kitchen, rubbing her hands together to shake off the cold from the bedroom. There was a faint glow of the refrigerator when she pulled out a glass to pour some water. Just as she set the glass down, a sudden presence surrounded her, and then a deep voice cut through the silence. Jungkook, you're so loud I couldn't sleep. Fine gasped, spinning around, clutching her chest. God, Jungkook! Her heart pounded as she looked at him, barefoot, sweatpants hanging low on his hips. Fine. What are you doing here? I thought you were resting. Jungkook leaned against the counter, arms crossed, expression unreadable. Jungkook. I was. She squinted her eyes as she asked. And then? Jungkook. I got thirsty. Her lips twitched. You walked all the way here yourself just to get water? How shocking. Jungkook rolled his eyes, stepping closer. His gaze flickered to the glass in his hand. Why are you here? Do you need anything? Wine blinked. What? Jungkook. I asked if you needed anything. She stared at him, unsure whether to laugh or question him further. It's strange. He's strange tonight. Jungkook never offers anything, never stays, never looks this restless. Fine. You're acting weird. Jungkook scoffed. He didn't answer immediately. Instead, he reached behind her, grabbing a glass from the shelf. The gesture made her breath hitch. Then, just before taking a sip, he muttered under his breath, Jungkook. You smiled. Fine. Me? Jungkook exhaled, rubbing the back of his neck, as if regretting speaking at all. Jungkook. Earlier, when I said I was tired, you smiled. Why? Fine bit her lip, suddenly feeling exposed. So he noticed. Fine. Because it was cute. Jungkook choked on his water. He coughed, setting the glass down with an irritated glare. Jungkook. What? Fine grinned, watching his ears turn pink. Fine. I mean, you were obviously lying. You were nervous, and I just think it's cute. Jungkook clicked his tongue, looking away. You think everything is cute. Fine chuckled unintentionally. Jungkook. I mean, really. You called me cute even after you saw me I broke someone's jaw last week. Fine shrugged. It was cute how you wiped your hands after, like a neat freak. Jungkook groaned. I don't understand you. Fine. Well, if you keep being like this, you will start to understand me. His eyes softened while meeting hers. They kept staring for a few seconds. Then slowly, Wine turned back to her water. Jungkook, what is she on about? He said under his breath while looking away. Then Wine started cooking something he didn't know, and he stared at her with vulnerable and guilty eyes that carried some love somewhere in between. His eyes flickered to her stomach and then at her lips. He kept staring at them until she noticed. She looked at him and was going to ask about it, but before she could, he left the kitchen without any word. At night, Vine sat curled up on the couch, knees hugging her chest as she stared at the flames of the fireplace. Jungkook, after a few minutes, came down to find her. Jungkook, what are you doing up? Vine didn't look at him. I couldn't sleep. He moved closer, asking, why? She exhaled, hugging her knees tighter. No reason. He knew she was lying, but instead of questioning her, he sat beside her. He sat close enough that their shoulders almost brushed. They sat in silence, the fire crackling between them. Why? Why do you keep staring? Jungkook, you're hiding something. Fine. I'm not. Jungkook hummed. You always do this when you're thinking too much. You stare at the fire like it holds all the answers. She swallowed, looking at him. You notice that? His gaze flickered to her. I notice everything about you. Her breath hitched for a second. She turned to him then, finally meeting his gaze, and found something in his eyes she had never seen before. Uncertainty. Maybe even fear. Her chest tightened. Why? Jungkook? And then she reached for him. Her fingers only grazed his wrist, but it made Jungkook move faster before he could think. He caught her hand, fingers curling around hers tightly. His other hand came up to her face, hesitant at first, before his thumb brushed along her cheek. Her lips parted slightly. She took a sharp inhale before he closed the distance into a slow kiss. Yes, it was slow at first because he was uncertain. He had too many questions in his mind. But when her hands went to his chest, pulling him closer, he exhaled a shaky breath against her lips and deepened the kiss. It's different from the others before. Not out of obligation, not out of frustration. It was something real, something very dangerous, he thought. Wine melted into him as he held her like she is something fragile, like she is something his. Then they broke apart. His voice was hoarse when he finally spoke. Jungkook, you make it hard to stay away. Fine smiled, brushing her thumb over his jaw. Fine, then don't. Jungkook exhaled, and when he kissed her again, he didn't hold back.